Welcome to Z Grills Taste the Smoke. Of course, my name is Tommy, and I will be your host over here for today's show, which is going to be all about the beef ribs. And we're not talking any old beef ribs. I am talking about a beef short ribs, those beef DINO ribs. This show here is going to show you exactly how to get it done. So what I want to do here is let's jump right into it. We've got the ribs on the board. We've got some rub we want to mix up, and we definitely want to start the show. As always, Z Grills is going to have the full ingredient list plus the recipe right down in the description. Let's get this one kicked off with a nice custom rub, and you are going to need some 16 mesh black pepper, some kosher salt, and also some granulated garlic. And I usually mix this stuff up in batches and keep it up in my cabinet. You can get all this stuff in bulk from Amazon, and this rub is perfect for anything like a beef rib or a brisket or anything Texas style, really. And the rule of thumb here is going to be 2 for 1 for half. So you are going to go twice the amount of black pepper, cut that in half, go with that kosher salt, and take that one on the kosher salt and cut that in half for the granulated garlic. Give that a good mix up, and like I said, you can stick that in the cabinet. She'll last forever, and you'll always have it there for future use. So let's turn our attention back down to the board, and let's get these ribs open. So this is going to be your basic rack of 3 bone-in short ribs, and to clean them up and get them ready for the pit couldn't be more simple. The first thing you are going to want to do as you get them out of the package is grab yourself some paper towels, because we got to get those dried off. Once dried off, you're going to want to give the ribs a quick look over. Usually the prep is mostly done. If you have anything dangling off the ribs or any chunks of fat, you can just remove that. Other than that, that membrane is going to stay on the back. We are going to score that up. And you certainly don't want to remove it. If you do remove it, your ribs are probably going to fall apart on the in the pit. And of course, flipping those ribs around, there are 2 schools of thought here. You can remove that fat, also remove the membrane, but you're probably going to take some of the meat with it. Personally, myself, I like to score that up, leave that fat on, as fat is flavor, and I can guarantee you will never know that membrane is there. Once we get these ribs all cleaned up, I am going to go with a Worcestershire binder. You can do anything from a mustard, hot sauce, even plain old water will work just fine. You just want to get a little bit of moisture on the ribs and get them ready for that rub. Once you get that binder on, you are going to grab that custom rub blend. You're going to want to start on the back side, on the membrane side. Get plenty of that rub on. These ribs can definitely take it. And then flip it over and hit that presentation side. And again, you want to get plenty of rub on. Don't forget the ends, don't forget the sides. These ribs got to be 100% rubbed down. Once you get all that done, just leave them on the board. Now let's head on back to my Z Grills, because we got to get that loaded down with some cherry pellets and get that fired up. So if your Z has that super smoke setting, you are going to use it here. If you do not have it, just set your pit to that 160 or as low as it can go. Today's show is going to be using those cherry pellets. If you don't have the cherry pellets, pick your favorite. And always remember, when you first fire up your Z, you're going to want to open that hood and let all that smoke dissipate out. Once all that is cleared, you could shut the hood and allow it to come up to temp. Once that temp is reached, it is time to get the ribs on. I am going to go middle shelf. Alrighty, so that is all there is to it. And basically now it is just a waiting game. We are going to keep my Z Grills on that super smoke setting. We will allow that to happen for approximately 2 hours or so. We want to get as much cherry smoke on the surface as we can, while also starting to build up that bark and render that fat down. So at that 2-hour mark, I will bring you guys back. So we have reached that 2-hour mark, and the only thing I'm going to do here is just check the ribs, make sure there are no hot spots in the pit. If you feel you need to quarter turn them, go ahead and do so. Otherwise, we are just going to continue to let it run at that smoke setting. And I can tell you, man, it has been practically straight smoke. But that is exactly what we are looking for, as we want to build that bark and render that fat. And just like that, we have hit that hour 3. Now look, keep in mind here, we are not going to spritz, and also we are not going to wrap these ribs. We have laid that smoke on for the first 3 hours, and at this point we are going to start nosing up that temp. Now look, depending on time, you can go anywhere between 275 and say maybe 300, 310, somewhere in that range. These ribs have enough marbling inside that this is going to be able to take the heat. And of course, those bones on the bottom are going to give us that added protection. And as you can see, these ribs have a nice color going, and that fat is also rendering quite nicely. So that is 160, or that super smoke setting, for the first 3 hours. At this point, we are going to bump it up. I am going to start it at 275, raise it up to 300, maybe hour 4 or so. I am just going to blow through that hour. I will bring you guys back here at hour number 5, and we can check out that bark and see how that fat's rendering. So we have cruised right through hour 5 and also hour 6, and you could see at that hour 5 mark we are starting to get a nice bark on those on these beef ribs. But hour 6 is really starting to shine. You can see some fat rendering. It is getting nice and soft, and you can also see the color variations from hour 5 and hour 6. As I probe it to see how we are doing, we are anywhere between 197 and 200, somewhere in that range. Now look, I laid on that smoke the first 3 hours at 160. I really want to render this fat down. I'm going to bring these up to about 208 or so. That is going to give me the ultimate in rendering of some fat. And I am telling you, just that extra little half hour is going to produce a better beef rib. There is no doubt about it. So what I want to do here is I'm going to let these run for about another 45 minutes or so. At that time, I will bring you guys back. We will probe it for doneness, and hopefully we can get them off. All right, all you Z grillers, this one's going to come in right at that 7.5 hour mark. And as we open up that hood, we could see that bark has formed quite nicely. And also that fat is nice and rendered down. That is very important. And as I get a little bit of a temp check, I could see they are about 203, 204. I was going to bring them up a little bit higher than that, but we were getting a little bit of crispy on the ends. So I am going to call it at that 203, 204 mark. We got to get them off. We got to get them on the board. We've got one more step before we take this whole cook home. And I've got a mixture of some butter and also some beef tallow, probably about a 50% of each one. And we are going to soak these ribs out. That is going to cool that bark down a little bit, take a little bit of that crunch away, and add a whole hell of a lot of flavor in. I can guarantee you that. We will get these things wrapped up. We will get them on the board, leave them on the board. We got to let them rest for about 1 hour or so. After that 1 hour mark, I will bring you guys back. We will unwrap it. It is like Christmas morning all over again. We will slice them open, talk about it, do that taste test, and close out the show. Alrighty, and this is beef ribs here 101, and this is probably one of my more favorite things to smoke. I mean, it is a foolproof method of getting them done. You just need the allotted amount of time to break all that fat down, to render it all down, get it nice and soft, and you've got meat perfection here, that is for sure. Let's go on in, let's get that little bit of a taste test, my favorite part of the show. And this fat has rendered down quite beautifully. You know, you can see when it is soft like that, man, she is rendered down nice. Of course, I've got Molly on standby. There's a nice fatty piece, and cheers. Guys, it melts in your mouth when you take that extra half hour and bring it up 203, 204, 205 instead of 198, 199. It just gives you a little bit better of a product. I mean, the fat just breaks down. I mean, you could see how soft that fat is right there. That is rendered down beautifully. That is exactly what you want. I am telling you right now, man, treat yourself to some ribs. If you can't get these local, you can do a search online and find these at, like, say, Wild Fork or something. You can get a rack like this for about 50, 55 bucks. And I can guarantee you will be starting 2025 in style. There is no doubt about it. So look, that is going to close out this show here. Don't forget, Z Grills will have this whole recipe down in the description under blog form. Just follow that, follow the link right to the website. You can print out everything you need and go ahead and make these beef ribs right here. And don't forget to follow Z Grills Instagram, the Facebook page, of course, the YouTube channel, that website. You follow all them, and Z Grills will have you smoking, have you grilling all year long. So look, that's going to put a pin in this show. I appreciate all you guys for watching. Have a great 2025. We will see you back here in about a week or so. If there is anything you want to see, just leave it down in the description and we will see what we can do. Again, my name is Tommy. I appreciate you all for watching. And until next time, we will see you soon.